Good morning, everybody. Show before the show. We're just here getting some things done as everybody starts to join us this morning. What is it today? Tuesday? Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hi, Lizzie.
Good morning. I think it's the 25th.
Good afternoon, Angie. 25th. It is the 25th.
July is almost over. That's crazy.
We say good morning to everybody who's coming into the show. Hi, Heather. Good morning to everybody. The show before the show. We're just doing some last minute updates. Hi, Shelly. Thanks, guys, for jumping in. Show before the show, as always. Let's see. Lizzie, I know you've been a sports mom for a long time. How about this for a schedule yesterday? My son's football team, because they have a week of practice, high school football.
In this heat, too.
Yeah, yesterday morning, they had a 3-hour practice. So they checked in, they had a 3-hour practice. Then they had max out lifts for power clean, max lifts. Then they had lunch. Then they had like film study. Then they had from 4 o'clock and it went till 8 o'clock because they made the championship in 7v7 stuff.
Yeah, good for him.
Till 8 o'clock, 4 more hours.
Oh my gosh. Was it a special
I've
camp?
never seen this kid. No, it's the start of their football.
They just started the season. Yeah. Wow.
I always go back and think, well, when we were kids, we drank from rusty pipes. We had 5-hour days. That day yesterday, that's intense. That's a 13-hour day.
Wow.
Yeah, today he got it because they stay at their school for the next 3 nights. They call it their live-in.
Like a lock-in?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But not for them who are there.
I bet they smell.
It's like our showers. He's like, you got drip water. You try to get in. But for the first time, he's like, I don't know if I can do it today. And I was like, holy moly.
Woo, I bet.
That kid say it.
That's hard. I do think that's something that the kids these days work even harder than we did is at high level sports. I know my daughter, my youngest, is in club and they work really hard. It was intense. She had club volleyball tryouts this weekend and it was intense. And if you didn't make it, those poor girls that didn't make it left crying after, I'm glad I didn't have to. My daughter did make it, but man, I feel bad for the kids that didn't.
I'm sore from sitting in the bleachers.
Do you bleach your butt? That's what I say. My butt has changed because I bleach your butt.
It's bleacher back.
Oh yeah.
That's what I got. Hi, Sherry, Kimberly, Shelly, Heather. Good morning, guys. Thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing the show, everything you can. Another big show as always for you guys. If there's stories that are going on, let us know. We'd love your guys' participation as always in everything that we're doing. How about all the craziness at Northwestern with all the hazing?
Yes.
I mean, it started with football coach Pat Fitzgerald. Then it was the baseball coach. Then the softball coach. Now the wrestling coach.
Yeah, it's like all of them.
Like, oh my God. And it's funny because, we've talked about it. I mean, I guess every school has its culture or different kids or young people make it up. But I mean, even when I was playing at Mizzou way back in
the Stone Ages.
Yeah. In the mid 90s, early 90s, it was the worst. Yeah. They kind of shaved our heads.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of half voluntary. And that was it.
Yeah, I know that there were some bad things at a college here in Missouri with the hazing with fraternities, and
I mean, that's been going on.
But with sports, not. I don't.
I was hazed way more in my fraternity. I was a fraternity guy too. I was hazed way more in the fraternity than I was for football.
Yep.
They weren't supposed to do anything to us.
Right, but they did anyway. They just snuck and did it.
What's my name? No, it wasn't. I just did a lot of cleaning.
Cleaning, yes. My son was in a fraternity, and he cleaned and cleaned and cleaned.
That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Almost there. Hold on a second. I have to check a couple other things. Love it when you guys jump in for the show before the show. Liking, subscribing, sharing. It's all good. Just click on the sites. Jump in. We love it when you do. Lizzie's here. Vic's here. Pro Joe getting ready to start this July 25th show. Let's see. Let's turn this down here. Let's see. Let's see. And yeah, of course, people know we broadcast out of the St. Louis area. It gets hot and humid in other places around the country. It does.
Getting hot in here.
Man, it's crazy in the St. Louis area with humidity right now. Or at least it was yesterday, that's for sure. Okay, one more check here. Yeah, Biden administration going after water heaters now.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
What isn't he going after? And I like my gas stuff.
Yeah. Of course, the chef, the Obama chef. We'll get into that. Okay, let's go ahead, Joe. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and start, buddy. We'll get our show started now. Hey guys, welcome into cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks. Pro Joe in the house, taking care of the engineering side of things. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. Appreciate you jumping in for this July 25th edition of cancelthisshow.com. As always, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our site, cancelthisshow.com. Check out our original content there. You can jump in at certain points. You can fast forward. You can rewind. You can go see certain things that you want to do. Also, you can like, subscribe, share the show. We love it when you send the stars as well. That helps us for what we're doing. It helps us get to as many people as we possibly can when you check out those individual platforms, when you jump in, when you talk about what you want to hear, even if it's a like, it's a thumbs up, it's a comment. It helps. Part of this podcast for the live audience is the interaction. That's what we think separates it. We love what you guys jump in and do, and of course, you become part of the show. We'd love it when you do that. Of course, Monday through Friday, we're here trying to bring you the best guests that we possibly can as well. We talk politics, we go news, headlines, business, entertainment, pretty much anything in our world, and there's so much that's going on in this time of year. Okay. Also, there's always going on in this time of life, 2023. You name it, we cover it, we dive into it, we try to give you the full story, we try to infotain, give you the information, entertain at the same point in time. jump in. We say hi to everybody who's jumping in on the show today. Lizzie, hope you had a good day yesterday. And you got us a guest today, too. Coming up at 9:15, we've got Lori Johnson. And did Lori contact you, or did you contact Lori?
Well, we both contacted each other. She watches the show and she congratulated me for being on the show, but I've known her through politics for many, many years. Chanel Rion, who's a friend of the show, I met Lori through Chanel. Yes, I met Lori through Chanel because Lori was her husband's campaign manager when he was running for Senate. So we've been friends ever since, and she listens to the show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people need to hear her story about how she was shot in a mass murder situation by BLM instigators.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Lori. That's coming up at our 9 o'clock hour, 9:15 Central Time. My, oh my, oh my. I know tragedies happen. I know things can happen. I know stuff in quotes can happen. The Obama chef died. The Obamas were not home. This happened near their property at Martha's Vineyard. 45-year-old, super healthy dude, allegedly on a paddleboard, struggling, and just went under Sunday night. Wasn't found until Monday. We'll get into that. Very interesting stuff, especially when you consider the Clintons and Bush's chef also died drowning years previous.
Yes.
Let the conspiracy theories fly all over the world, but at the end of the day, a man has passed away, which is the sad part of it. And from all intents and purposes, a very healthy 45-year-old man, Tafari Campbell. So we'll break that down. We'll get into that. Mark Zuckerberg facing possible contempt hearing from Congress on Thursday because he's allegedly refusing to hand over information for any possibility that Meta had in silencing people. It's very interesting. Once again, we're going to break that down. The heat around Biden continues on a daily basis, and we all know that they can protect it. They, being the left, the deep state, the national media, they can protect, but they're not. They're not stopping it. And here comes the charge. And most of this would not be happening if the Republicans did not have the House. Wait until you hear Kevin McCarthy speaking last night regarding possible impeachment surrounding Joe Biden now, because the criminal information regarding him and Hunter is so freaking deep. Yes, they are connected. Oh, I never knew anything. I never talked any business with my son. More and more evidence on a daily basis showing that. We'll get into that as well. Anything else you guys want to jump into, we'll do that. And the DeSantis campaign is almost like this right now. They're waving the white flag. I mean, it's like, help, help is on the way. When your campaign manager comes out and says publicly what he said yesterday, it's like, oh my. Scratch 2028. We'll see where that goes. Lots to get to today. Plus, we'll come back. We'll show you some numbers for the show. What you guys are making happening through all of our platforms and our videos. We're proud of it right now because this isn't easy. And we started on, not very much money. And we're always looking for partners, and the partners we have are loving it. But we're trying to do what we can to get as big as we can. And it's because of you guys liking, subscribing, sharing the show, letting people know. CancelTheShow.com. Oh, yeah, we'll get into that. Rich says DeSantis was in a car accident. I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
We'll share our partners with you. We'll look at that, and we'll come right back with CancelTheShow.com. I'm Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks, Projo alongside.
House has the largest selection of solid wood with the hottest new styles. Real furniture that's built to last, like our solid bedrooms, living rooms, and dining from Kincaid. Our volume enables us to save you a lot of money, especially during our solid wood sale. Plus, get free financing, fast free delivery, and free in-home design. So for solid wood, sweet styles, and solid service since 1964, shop over 3 football fields of furniture at Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Mahesh Bhagway. I'm an orthopedic surgeon here in St. Louis for over the last 20 years. I went to Washington University. I got my medical degree at St. Louis University. From local high school athletes, college athletes, weekend warriors, injured workers, and even Cardinal baseball players, I've treated them all. Our practice strives to personalize care with every new patient being seen by me. To find me, contact my staff at drbagwe.com. That's DRBAGWE.com. Hopefully you don't need me, but if you do, you can find me now.
Jonathan, what does make Rockwood so special?
Rockwood, we carbonize it higher than anybody else does. So we're cooking out everything that produces ash, smoke, anything like that. It gives you a lot more control over the temperature, a lot more control over the fire, and it's 100% Missouri product.
All right, where can people get it?
It's at 100 plus locations around St. Louis, any Deerberg, Straub's, meat markets, wine and cheese stores, hardware stores, you name it, we're around St. Louis. Just check the website.
And good charcoal should be able to break apart in your hands like
absolutely,
does,
yeah.
Right?
If you can't break it apart by hand, it's not charcoal yet. It's still wood. They didn't do the job, so make sure it can break apart by hand.
All right, get your Rockwood charcoal.
Marco, wait. What? No response? Hi, I'm Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair, offering full service and auto repair to St. Louis and St. Charles. We are looking for someone to say polo. That's right, we are hiring. We want you now. If you would like to work in a well-paying environment, then you owe it to yourself to stop by one of our 6 Complete Auto Body and Repair locations. Will you help me find that missing person? Please call me directly at 636-488-HIRE. That's right, 636-488-4473.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
Attention, anyone who served, lived, or worked at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. Camp Lejeune's drinking water was dangerously toxic, and base personnel and their families have since suffered cancer and other illnesses. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and were diagnosed with cancer, you may be eligible for significant compensation. Call the Driscoll firm now. Consultations are free, and you won't pay a fee unless we get you the money you deserve. 1-800-805-4800.
Hey guys, welcome back into canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Of course, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com. News headlines, politics, cancel culture, education, business, entertainment, whatever you guys want to do, just let us know if there's a story as well. We love the live interaction that we have. And of course, appreciate all the views and listens after the show ends live. Around 10 o'clock, we get that in to our podcast form and saved probably within 15, 20 minutes after the show on most days. It is Tuesday, July 25th, and we are getting into all kinds of things today. Big guest coming up at 9:15, one of Miss Lori Johnson. She was shot by a BLM instigator a few years ago as part of a mass shooting. Thank God she survived. She has some interesting thoughts on what's coming up from that standpoint. All right. We got so many places we can start today, but we have to start. I believe we have to start as we get into it is what happened regarding, and it's big news today. I mean, there wasn't as much today as there was yesterday, but Tafari Campbell was the personal chef of the Obamas. So he died. That came out yesterday. And of course it's easy. Oh my God, what happened? First of all, talking about the man, a 45-year-old man, everything you heard, just a wonderful human being. The Obamas have come out and said a bunch of very nice things about him. So what happened was allegedly he was involved with another person on a paddleboard incident Sunday night and said that all of a sudden he just started having some issues in the water and he went under and then he wasn't found. Just like that. Boom. 45-year-old man. This was on or near, I should say, the Obamas Martha's Vineyard property. So Massachusetts State Police had to use kind of a side scan sonar because the call went in Sunday night. Mm-hmm. They didn't find him until Monday morning in 8 feet of water. And, so he passed away. It can happen. So, I mean, our thoughts and prayers with the family of Tafari Campbell and pray for his soul. The Obamas said that he was a beloved part of our family. And they said when we first met him, he was a talented sous chef at the White House, creative and passionate about food and its ability to bring people together. In the years that followed, we got to know him as a warm, fun, extraordinarily kind person who made all of our lives a little brighter. Now, we know tragedies can happen, unfortunately. He did have a wife and he had twin boys. The Obamas were not home, so he was out near their property. I guess that's where he lived, I guess. Those sorts of things happen. So he dies, he drowns. What is interesting is he is a super, super healthy dude.
Correct. Very healthy.
Like trainer looking healthy guy. Could he have had a cardiac event? Yeah, it's all possible. Sure. We just don't know yet. But when these things happen, we haven't heard of anything happening with the Obamas in the past.
No, I think it's weird, though. He tweeted out that he couldn't swim and a funny little quip, and he didn't have a life jacket on. So if you can't swim, why would you be on that? And it's just my opinion. I mean, I know we all do a lot of stupid stuff.
No, why would you tweet that right before your death?
Right before your death.
No, but and this is
Joe.
I was trying to be respectful to everything first.
Well, I guess Joe and I just already see the stinky bomb
already
about
thinking
it.
Scuba divers are under the,
Yes.
I've got a whole thing going on.
Okay,
yeah.
if you
need to tell us, Joe.
If you're only found about 100 feet off the shoreline of the pond,
right,
and only 8 feet deep, yet the search began Sunday evening.
Correct.
How did it take until the next day to find you?
And if you don't know how to swim, what are you doing on a paddleboard to begin with without a life jacket?
No, but I mean, a lot of times kids and people don't even get on paddleboards in water, even if they can swim without a life jacket.
Correct. I know we went to Lake of the Ozarks and we can all swim well, and yet we had life jackets on.
Yeah, we just jumped right into this one today.
Right. I mean, I'm not being disrespectful
not at all.
to
not
him.
At all. We need to bring this up.
Now.
The tweet was shocking. I was like, okay, it's shocking after the fact.
Correct.
So then you go out and do it, as you bring up, Lizzie.
Yes.
Okay. Now, then it's like, okay, if this situation, which we can get back into, isn't weird enough.
Right.
Then we find out that in 2015, the Clinton's chef also died via drowning.
Yes. I mean, come on. I don't believe in coincidences anymore with the left. I just don't. They both drown and they're both chefs. Think about any operation. The chefs are the person that's around you all the time and they hear everything that you say. So you're sitting around eating with your family or your friends and you just chat, thinking the chefs aren't even listening to you, but they're hearing every word you're saying.
Well, and then not only that, some people actually confide in their chef.
They sure do.
They're almost like a bartender.
Yes. Yeah,
or
very good
a
point.
hairstylist. Same situation.
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it could be. We don't know this for sure. And we probably will never know this for sure. But come on, they're both chefs. The one that you confide in and you both drown. I mean, they're not even different incidents. I mean, they both drown.
Well, it's not even confiding too. A lot of times you're around.
You're just around. Yeah.
You are the fly on the wall.
You are the fly on the wall.
Whether you want to be or not.
Correct.
And those things can happen.
Yes.
Now, Paula says the Arkansas, referring to the Clintons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Paula's right.
So Mr. Campbell passed away allegedly in the morning, or he drowned in the evening time. The first call came in about 7:46 p.m.
Yes.
So he's found the next morning, about at least 12 hours later.
Right.
Only 100 yards offshore in 8 feet of water.
Well, and I think he had a bodysuit on too.
Well,
and they
David said if he had a bodysuit on, and if there's flotation in them, what the hell?
I know. I mean, it just doesn't. It just doesn't add up.
Okay, it doesn't add up.
No,
in any
it doesn't.
sense.
Right.
So the Clinton chef and Bush chef. That's another interesting story.
Yes,
Walter Scheib, allegedly hiking by himself in 2015 in New Mexico at a mountain range there. And I guess they said that they ended up finding him where mountain water runs off into a water where he was found submerged. He was hiking. I guess they said a storm had come by and maybe he slipped and slid into the water and was never able to get out of the water himself.
And both those things can happen. They can. However, either this is a huge coincidence or they knew too much and were about ready to say it, or do the Democrats just hire very stupid people who have no common sense when it comes to their recreation?
Why do people in politics always die of weird deaths?
Right. Think about that. Good point.
It is a point. And then on top of everything else, this week, I believe it's supposed to happen tomorrow, Hunter Biden's best friend is supposed to testify regarding the Biden crime syndicate. Is it something to try to get attention off of what's happening there? Is it attention because we'll get into there's an alleged House meeting on Thursday to discuss contempt charges against Mark Zuckerberg because Facebook's refusing to hand over information regarding possible censorship issues. Lot of stuff going on right there, which makes you wonder. So with Walter Scheib's situation, he was the chef that died in 2015. He was 61 years old and gone. God bless his soul. Then yesterday's situation happens. And you're like, okay, when you consider that there's a list of, I think it's 71 people who knew the Clintons who are now no longer breathing.
Correct. They're unalive.
Now, there are people, you die of natural causes. You can pass away from natural causes.
You can.
And it's interesting. I was watching a podcast recently. I'm trying to remember who it was, but Anthony Weiner was on trying to defend everything that has happened with the Clinton family. And he's like, well, they're old. Just as you get older, lots of people who die. And he was squirming as he said it. I'm like, 71 people, including most of their bodyguards.
Correct. I mean, it's
so
all
then that happens.
People.
Then the chef, and it's like I didn't even know about the chef in 2015. I didn't know that. I'm sure most people didn't. But then when another chef passes away, I want to know more about who was with him.
Yes.
And how that all went down.
Absolutely. Soon as I saw that the chef died, I thought I'd remember hearing it. So I did some research and I'm like, of course another chef died. And of course it was Clinton. Of course it was. So, I mean, I agree that, you can get older and the older you get, the more apt you are to die. But like Projo said just a few seconds ago, they die of these weird deaths. It's not like they just die of anything. I mean, they burn up and they have these.
It's always something questionable.
Yes.
Paula says, I lived in Arkansas dealing with the Clinton crap too. They are or were a mess.
Yes. Paula knows some stuff too, for sure.
I can't get over that flotation device or flotation clothing. There's nowhere.
Right.
If you're wearing a bodysuit, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the water. I guess it depends on how long you've been in.
Yes.
But man, that is not far. That is not far at all when it comes to finding somebody. It just isn't.
It depends on how long the scuba diver held you underwater.
Right. There you go.
Look at you, Joe.
Look at Joe.
I'm sorry.
But Joe, you're probably not wrong. Like you said, what in the world is with the tweet right before he got in the water?
It's like nothing to see here.
Yeah, I bet he didn't even have the phone. I bet somebody else had the phone. I bet he didn't even tweet it out.
You know what? It makes me wonder. Yeah, it does. Once again, the Obamas were not at the property when this happened.
Of course they weren't.
So they couldn't have been associated with anything, at least coming in right now, right off the bat. So, man, I don't know what else to think about it at this point in time. It's a tragedy. We can talk about certain things that happen, but when you look at the history of another chef that passed away and who that was associated with, of course, being the Clintons, it certainly makes you wonder. And there's no way that you can't look at this as very, very strange because of that tweet. And we don't have the information about the bodysuit yet in regards to what was he. David said that did they find him in it or he was allegedly wearing it when he went out?
And there's two different reports. I've heard that he was definitely wearing it. And then I've heard there's some speculation that he was in it. But I don't know. I don't know that for sure. It depends on which newscast that you listen to or which information, but more people than not are saying that he had a flotation device.
That was, Jerry said, Vic, it was Patrick Bet David, who I was watching because I do like his stuff when I get a chance, his YouTube channel, when Weiner went off for 20 minutes when he read the Clinton body count.
Yes. And like Kimberly said,
71. And then of course, when that happens,
I
mean, I don't know if it's fair to include the Obamas with the Clintons because that's
sure it is.
That's Hall of Fame status.
Yeah, no,
in regards
they're
to
totally linked.
A bad situation, linked. But when it's a chef, and then they just happen to be gone.
Just so happen.
Aaron says, "How did Andrew Breitbart really die?" Bendy
makes you wonder.
Very odd. Good point, Lizzie, coming from Kevin. I don't know which point that he was talking about. And of course, Aaron says that guy better hire some private security. I don't know who that. Which guy is that?
Well, I'm not sure which guy he's talking about either, but any guy that has any information about the Clintons or the Obamas or of course, Hunter Biden and all that, you better be having some security if you no longer work with them. Well, if you work with them, obviously you could be unalived, but you better get your own security for sure.
Well, it is interesting because there is so much going on this week coming up. And the heat is really coming down on Joe Biden right now, and really coming down on Hunter Biden. So 71 that you know of, Vic, coming from Paula. Yeah, good point.
Right. Just that we know of. There's more. There's more for sure.
But at the end of the day, Jafari Campbell drowns, and, he leaves behind a wife and twin boys, which is a sad story. So,
it really is.
At the end of the day, whether there's conspiracy or not, you have a wife and two boys who are left behind.
Sad, very sad.
Which is sad, and that sucks. And then, of course, you have these stories that are going on. So you can add it to the list. I mean, it's sad, but this will go down. And, of course, everything happens, and then you stop talking about it in time.
Yes.
Maybe the chef. Oh, David said maybe the chef found out about Michael.
Yes, I agree with him. And people say that the Obamas have zero scandal, but they do. It will come out in our lifetime, I believe. This is my opinion, but I think there's a lot of proof of it, that Michelle Obama is really Michael Obama, who was Obama. Obama was gay in college, and you can find proof of that. And his boyfriend was Michael, who looks just like Michelle.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
and we've broken it down on this podcast.
We have.
One of the most direct and maybe disturbing incidents was a man he came out years ago in podcast form in Illinois and said that he took care of sexual needs for the former president.
Yes.
In hotel rooms in Chicago before he was president.
Yes.
So those things happen, and I know I've heard it before. Say, oh, the Obamas had no scandal. Well, here's the thing. There's scandal of some sort, or there's drama of some sort with every presidential family, just like there's drama with all of us as human beings.
Of course.
It's part of life. You can say, I don't want drama. I turn from drama. Well, guess what? You're going to deal with drama.
You are.
In your life, whether you want it or not.
Correct.
It's how you respond to it, who finds out about it, and so forth. If you're conservative and you're in a national spotlight, everybody's going to find out about it.
Correct. And
if you own the national media, Obama's, not everybody's going to find out about it.
That's exactly true.
Those are the sorts of things that happen.
So if you want no drama to be found, become a Democrat.
If the media refuses to cover it, then you have that stuff. Aaron says, follow Brock's brother on Twitter. Yeah, we talked about him before. We shared some of his tweets, and he shares a lot. How that man is still
alive,
able to do what he's doing.
Yes, I'm surprised he can still walk above the dirt.
It is very, very interesting. Jay says, of course, Obama bought and paid for his political career.
For sure.
In
100%,
Chicago.
100%.
And it all comes about because their chef is found drowned in 8 feet of water just 100 yards offshore after allegedly having some sort of paddleboarding incident, despite looking like he could be a fitness model.
Yes.
And being with somebody else at the same time who was able to make the call.
Correct. It's all just
and a tweet that he put out before saying, I can't even swim. Now, with the tweet, it didn't say anything about going paddleboarding, though, did it? I didn't see that.
I didn't either. Did you, Pro Joe? I just saw that it said that he couldn't swim.
No, I didn't. See anything.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see anything more than that. And it was a tweet.
And this, so people are going to be talking about it, and we're talking about it today. There's not any other massive, huge stories going on this morning from a national standpoint. There can be, but man, oh man, this just throws you back in
to
the whole list of people who like to bring up the Clintons and like to bring up possibilities on why this chef passed away. So Jerry says, scroll back, find my comment about Big Mike. I don't know. We appreciate you guys jumping in on these comments. This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks. Pro Joe running the board. And of course, we appreciate it when you guys jump in and have the conversations that you do. Coming up at 9:15, Lori Johnson in studio to talk about what happened to her when a BLM instigator shot her as part of a mass shooting. Very interesting stuff when you see what's happening in cities around America, especially in St. Louis, the area where she is from, because things have not really gotten better in what can be described as a war zone in the St. Louis City area and
Correct.
what can come out of that area. So that's coming up at 9:15. Won't want to miss that. If you have anything else more to add, Eddie Jones says, couldn't swim, no life jacket, and he's on a paddleboard out in the water at Martha's Vineyard. Makes a whole lot of sense. No, I'm with you. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense when that stuff happens. But yet we're going to go out paddleboarding, and allegedly the call came in. So, a lot of people on the other side can say, how dare you guys even bring up the possibility or say that something's there? But I'm just telling you, the whole thing just seems a little gray, a little shady.
The tweet right before,
right.
I don't know how long before, but the tweet that states that he doesn't know how to swim. What are you doing paddleboard? It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. Who does that? Like if you're going to go in the water or do anything and you tweet out, I can't swim. And then what? An hour or so later, you're unalived? That's just crazy. It really is. And it is. Bindi was saying it's sloppy. That's the thing that I've noticed about the left and anybody even on the right that's high up in a deep state. They know we know. They know we know. They know we're smart, that we're smart. We figured it out and they know, but we can't do anything about it. And they know it and they're going to keep doing it. So they just keep doing more and more and more. And then they become sloppy and they don't care that we figured it out. They don't care at all. They just keep doing it. It's almost like they're taking our noses and rubbing it in poop. That's
allegedly, he was just visiting the area and paddleboarding by himself. It just said a fellow paddleboarder saw that he did not resurface.
Interesting. And so he just happened to be by the Obamas?
So he happened to fall off the board. So he just happened to fall. Okay. And when he fell, he just never came back up without a life jacket on. Not in pool water.
Right.
Man.
Do you know how long it takes somebody to actually drown? And he actually, somebody saw him go under. So
and not resurface.
Yeah, and that means that he couldn't have been under for that long then.
Correct.
That doesn't make any sense either.
It's fishy. It's so fishy. And I know we all know people that...
It sounds like he was by himself.
That's what I got, the impression that he was by himself.
How did somebody see him go under and then not resurface?
I guess
somebody
bystander?
Yeah, somebody by.
Well, then that means, okay, so then they went and got help, right? So he couldn't have been under the water for very long, right?
Right. I would like to know, Kimberly's even saying that she wonders who the fellow paddleboarder was. Were they together?
That's what I wanted to know.
We need to get that person's
I'm not
name if anyone has it.
A fellow paddleboarder.
Yes, a fellow paddleboarder. So if anybody can research that and tell us what it is. And like Pam is saying, could he have had a cardiac issue? Could have.
Guess what?
They said he died of drowning.
Right. They didn't say a cardiac issue.
If this is 100 yards off the shore, right near the Obama property, there are security cameras.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
There's cameras that go out all over that property.
Absolutely.
Or satellite footage focused on it.
Hell, we don't even need satellite footage, but
Yeah, you're right.
There's video of that shoreline, the pond line, whatever you want to call it. You have video.
Right. Do you think we'll ever see the video?
No.
I don't either.
No.
I don't either.
No. Now, I the state police that I know in Missouri, I love them and I trust them. But the other situation you have here is Massachusetts State Police handling the investigation.
Right.
They took care of that. So what did they find? What did they see? Jay says the camera didn't work today. Oops.
Yeah. Of course it didn't work.
My whole deal was maybe he could have had that cardiac issue is what I was stating at first and fallen off a board. That's very, very, it's very feasible.
Correct.
To think that could happen. Of course, that could happen. It happens to people driving cars.
Yeah. It does. It totally does. But where were they? I know they supposedly weren't there, but they haven't said where they were. Because if it was Trump or somebody like that, they would know exactly where he was and which hotel room he was in or which Trump tower he was in. It's just Obama's. They just keep getting a pass. They just keep covering for him. They keep covering for him, even in this.
Joe says, we'll see that video, the security video. as soon as we see all the J6 video.
Correct. Joe is absolutely right.
Aaron says if it was a cardiac issue, was it cupcake related? Of course, that's something else that I thought about.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
If you have 4 cupcakes, can it hit you at any time? Yes.
I'm sure it can. Yeah.
But then a cupcake doesn't make you tweet what you tweeted before you were out doing what you were doing. But also at the same point in time, if you're going to tweet that, and then if something nefarious was going on and somebody tweeted that out on behalf of him before, it just draws attention when something happens to you after the fact, though, as well.
It's always like the person that gets out in front of it and says, oh, this happened or this is, and they go on social media. Often it's to cover what's coming next or what they did. I mean, that makes me think that here, somebody tweeted that. This is just my opinion because I wasn't there. I don't know. But somebody tweeted that. And somebody took him down. Let's just be frank. He was unalived by them.
You really feel that, don't you?
I do. I really do believe that. There's just too many coincidences that are by the Clintons and the Obamas and even the Bushes. If you look, the Bushes are tied to these chefs too. So the first chef had also been George Bush's chef.
Yeah. Well, the Bushes were tied to Walter Sheeb. They were his.
Yes.
They were his chef first, and then he just continued on.
Correct.
With the Clintons. And then, of course, something happened to him in 2015. Just to remind people as people are coming into the show. He also drowned during a hiking incident. He was hiking by himself in a mountain range in New Mexico. And they say they're guessing a storm hit and it was very muddy and slippery. And he slipped slipped off a cliff and into a water drainage spot and drowned in water. He was found submerged. That was in 2015. Then you have, Tafari Campbell being found in water yesterday morning, 8 feet of water, just 100 yards offshore. I think it was 100 yards or 100 feet. I can't remember what I said there. I'll go back and look at that. It was just, so anyway, those things happened when you're like, okay. And then the tweet, we talk about a tweet that he put out. Well, I can't swim. And then he's going to be out on a paddleboard. So that's what we're talking. Oh, by the way, it was just 100 feet.
100 feet, yes.
100 feet.
And it took them that long to find him?
Over 12 hours.
That's crazy. I get if
somebody saw him go under and not resurface. It took them 12 hours to find him in a lake.
Yeah. It's easy for us to break down, isn't it?
Well, and think about it. There was somebody, we lived on a lake briefly, and somebody had drowned in there, but they were found quite a bit away from where the drowning happened. This is funny that in 12 hours, he was found almost exactly where he drowned. Come on. And you can't find him? That's really odd to me. Very odd.
As Lord Nefarious says in the movie Nefarious, I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
Oh, I'm sure it is just a coincidence.
That's scary, Aaron. It is. No, it gives me chills. Right. And that's a movie that people haven't seen that they should see. That got shot down by Hollywood as well. But that is another interesting movie about good versus evil in the world. That's for sure. Kevin says this will get shelved like the White House Coke incident.
Absolutely.
For those who didn't know what happened with that, we talked about it here. The Secret Service ended their investigation with no conclusive evidence, despite it being the most secure place in America. Video cameras everywhere. Oh, who has the Coke?
They couldn't find a fingerprint or anything.
And of course when you don't tell us whose Coke it is, you tell us whose Coke it is.
Exactly.
And you have that situation. Of course, now we're dealing with one outside the Obama residence. There's video. Somebody has video.
Well, and like Jamie was saying, don't you struggle like if somebody's drowning
and prayers for his family,
splash and splash and splash and splash at first, unless it was a cardiac thing or it was the thing in your arm that caused some people to just drop. So if he didn't struggle, maybe it was something like that. But yeah, people that are I know my kids who've jumped in a pool who feel like that they were drowning when they were little. They're just like slapping their arms everywhere to try to get to the top.
Yeah, Jessica says, I nearly drowned yesterday in a foot of rushing water. My shorts got caught, wound around on a large limb in a current. I tipped and I was face down in the water. I can see that happening. I'm an avid whitewater rafter, and here I am almost drowning in a foot of water. Yeah,
that's a good point, Jessica.
That can happen. That's a side note, but yeah, that can happen to you as well. There's no doubt. That's something like that happened to me, and I covered unfortunate, I think 5 or 6 drownings in the Merrimack. over 7 years.
Yeah.
It's also white water. We're talking a lake on paddleboard, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
That it's easy enough where you're just moving through. Eddie said that Dan Borgino, ex-Secret Service, of course, says it's crazy. I'm assuming the cocaine story. I haven't heard him on yet today. He normally comes on after us.
Yes, true.
Yeah, Pam says it was not a river. Not like that. It was not fast-moving water. And, of course, it had to make him go out and feel like he could do it without a life jacket, despite not being an avid swimmer, as we like to talk about as well. Do lakes have currents like rivers? Yeah, they can. I think
can
some of them.
They can. Like if I don't know what that lake looks like right there by the Obamas, but I know if you were in Lake of the Ozarks, which is here in the Midwest, there's definitely currents in there, especially if there was big boats. So, I mean, all those things are true. I mean, he could have legitimately just drowned.
Okay, so you have an issue, but you think there's too much with this again.
I do.
That you think foul play was involved.
I absolutely think foul play.
And what is the
involved.
final determining factor for you then?
The determining for me is the tweet beforehand, the fact that there was also somebody in 2015.
And for our new podcast listeners, the tweet again said?
The tweet said that I can't swim. And so why would you go get into a lake, get on a paddleboard with no life jacket or life preserver, and then you go under pretty quickly. And then whenever you see anything with the Obamas or the Clintons, or even the Bushes for that matter, and you research, the coincidence add up too quickly. And since there is 71 unalived around that regime of political people, then you just only have to look for 2 seconds and you find out that another chef dies.
71 around the Clintons.
Yes.
There's not a list yet around the Obamas.
That's because he's so protected, and there are things that have gone on there, but he is the darling of the media. He's the darling. So nothing bad is ever going to come up about them. Not in my life.
Well, you kind of knew that was going to happen within a year of taking office and doing nothing. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. That's when you knew, okay, what? I'll never forget that. I was in news going, what did he do? He just was elected. Oh, well, he brought peace for the world, for international relations. Oh, okay. All right. So that's fair enough. And Joe, you agree with Lizzie's point? You're backing that too? You think that
and
you're on the side of more so something crazy happening than not?
I don't think it's a far stretch of the imagination to think that a chef would know some things that might be detrimental to somebody's political career.
Correct.
And if you know things, even if you're not threatening to say anything, you still know things.
You know things.
And you may have found out about something that you didn't mean. Your example earlier was Michael maybe coming down the stairs without clothes on.
Yeah.
And a chef goes, oh, crap, I did not want to see that.
Right.
Anything like that. Or he could have been...
that's what I was getting out of you guys earlier.
A conversation during a dinner as well. He could have overheard. There could be a lot of things. A meeting that he catered, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you have someone in your home that would cook for you or would clean for you, find things in your home that you don't even realize you left there. It could be a note you left. So if you're a cleaning person or a chef, and a chef probably even more so, you had said it earlier, you're like a fly on the wall. You hear everything that is being said. And that is a prime person to unalive.
I don't know how tall Tafari Campbell is. One of our podcast viewers, listeners wanted to know how tall he was. He's like 8 feet of water. That's not even that deep. It doesn't take that deep of water to drown in. It doesn't.
You can drown in 2 inches of water.
Yes, you can drown in your bathtub.
But if you fall
real easy.
And then of course, there's no way he's getting on a paddleboard without a life jacket if he can't swim. Okay. So he falls in. If he can swim a little bit, he's got his board right there. If he was suffering some sort of cardiac arrest, obviously that changes things, but we haven't been told that. I mean, they'll come up with something, I'm sure, and they'll give us the example of what happened to him. Then if you're dealing with that, that's a different situation. Yeah, it could happen very easily and very simply. Then, of course, if you connect the dots to a former chef passing away, it is very mysterious. He also drowned. I just feel as if there's more craziness to the Clinton chef.
Yes.
drowning by himself on a hiking trip in New Mexico, found at the basin where there's water runoff into an area, just found underwater submerged from running water. Then Tafari's there. But then, of course, the tweet and then the fellow paddleboarder seeing him said, I saw him go under, but he never came back up. So allegedly, he would have had to have been by himself, not paddleboarding with somebody else, because somebody else takes care of that really fast, really easy.
Jerry's saying on the chat line, there's video of him swimming good doing laps in a pool.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt, Jerry. No freaking doubt. There's no way. This guy, I'm telling you right now, when you see him he looks like a fitness model.
Yeah. Nice looking dude. Very fit. Very fit. And if he's doing laps. So, okay, that even makes it even weirder. So if he can't swim, according to the tweet, but yet there's video that he was well, that is the craziest thing I ever heard of, because he literally is in great shape. Someone else tweeted it then. Unless it's a joke, but
Jeff says, I can't swim, in quotes, precursor. Most people who can't swim are terrified of the water. Exactly. So you're not going to go get on a paddleboard.
Yes.
If you can't swim without a life jacket. So now I think it's one of those situations. It's like, okay, now we find out what happens.
Yes. And it could also be if he really died, there's just bad reporting everywhere you go, because they report things because they want to be the first one out, and they just start saying crap to get it to be the first one out, and then the truth comes later, or they're covering up the truth later. That's the sad part. We don't even know because they lie to us all the time.
I have what I think is the video that Jerry's talking about.
Of what? Swimming?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see it. Let's see it.
I think this is the personal chef swimming.
Accidentally drowned. I'm saying he was killed. I want a toxicology report. I want a knifeology report. I think he was killed, and I think he was thrown in the water, and then I think they said, oh, look, dude died in the back paddleboard. Oh, no, call the police. After which,
I saw the face for a little bit.
A billion different agencies descend on this place.
I mean, when he turned around, it did look like his body type.
But it just shows so many people do not believe for 1 minute that this is a coincidence. We're not the only ones thinking that. And then you'll have other people that would be, oh, no. If you listen to CNN or NPR today, they'll be like, oh, God, rest his soul. It just happened. It's just so sad. And they're not saying any of these possibilities at all, because if it's Obama, of course, Saint Obama, nothing is wrong with anything he does.
And Kathy, that's a good point. And that's why I started off today with all due respect to Tafari Campbell and his wife, who's been left behind, his twin boys, that a life has been lost. And that's the horrible, sad truth. The tragedy has occurred regardless of how it occurred.
Absolutely.
And you say, maybe he heard things about the upcoming election, not to joke about his death. And it's not taken that way. But I keep thinking of the song from Grandmaster Flash. Sometimes it makes you wonder how you keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes. Yeah, that'll hit home, especially when you have a situation like that we have seen. And Jessica says, I agree with Lizzie. They just do whatever they want. No, they can get away with it, trolling us, for lack of a better word. But you just continue to pray for his family's protection as they move forward. And, of course, what happens with them in life. And hopefully they didn't know anything that is going on, because we all know, I mean, sometimes it's bad to know things or to be around people, which takes us back. Yes. Just real quick, Walter Sheeb died at 61 years of age in 2015. He was the chef for the then Clintons, and before that, the Bush. And then now the personal chef for the Obamas, found drowned yesterday morning after a emergency call went in, 911 call went out Sunday night, just before 8 o'clock, that he had went underwater and he never resurfaced. So 45-year-old man in great shape, who tweeted out that he wasn't that good of a swimmer, couldn't really swim, yet he was out on a paddleboard as the sun was setting, I guess, by himself.
And clearly, if that's him in this video, he can swim.
Right, clearly.
Yeah, he can swim.
Right, I agree. That makes it even more nefarious if he really can swim, and then there was the tweet that he can't swim, and then he goes down real quick. That is like, if you're an investigator at all, it's not on the up and up. You know that.
Well, there's a lot going on this week. This is cancelthisshow.com. We appreciate everybody jumping in and sharing their thoughts with us for what's happening, what's going on. It is a big week. Is it the attention grabber? Oh, we need to turn our attention over here. Is there a reason this done? Was it just natural occurrences? You guys get to decide that. You get to think what you want to think. But there are some other massive major issues. The Biden crime family syndicate situation is not going away. And Kevin McCarthy, it made it very, very clear. And this is why I had hope and still have hope that even though Republicans or independents that want to see justice served because of so many crazy things happening with the DOJ, the FBI, the suppression of evidence, the suppression of documents, saying that documents didn't exist a couple of years ago. Oh, and they do. That the laptop from Hunter Biden never was real, and it was. And now we find out that they knew it was real and tried to lie about it. And then you find out all about the stuff 2-3 years later. Just listen to Kevin McCarthy going for about 2 minutes about a possible impeachment now of President Biden. He's not stopping, and he is coming full go on this. My God, there's so much going on in Washington.
It's loading.
Look at Biden's face. I mean, look at his eyes. And I'm not trying to be, here we go.
Okay. This was given to the FBI. When Bill Barr finally found out about it, he sent it to his office in Philadelphia. They actually said that this was very credible. The FBI kept this from the IRS individuals for them ever to see it. So not only do they claim that they were bribed, we now find information that 16 out of 17 payments from Romania were provided to the Biden shell companies while he was vice president. When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received $1 from China, which we now proved is not true. We now have some of the most credible whistleblowers. These 10-year IRS agents who have come forward said that the Biden family has been treated differently, that what Weiss has told us is different than what Garland and Weiss has told the public. And you're sitting here today where now you have found millions of foreign money, just what the 1023 alleges they did to Biden's family. Now we found that it has funneled through shell companies. If you're sitting in our position today, we would know none of this if Republicans had not taken the majority. We've only followed where the information has taken us. But Hannity, this is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed. Because this president has also used something we have not seen since Richard Nixon, used the weaponization of government to benefit his family and deny Congress the ability to have the oversight.
If we are talking
that's
about
a big deal right there from Kevin McCarthy. So we've got that going on. I think what you want about what can happen. And you're right, Jay, it won't pass the Senate. But passing the House is a big deal. And also getting more information, getting it out there as much as possible. And I do think a lot of things are coordinated when it comes to the entire situation of the political scheme and standpoint of what's being put out, what's not being put out. Democrats understand that they can't run Joe Biden. They can't. They cannot run Joe Biden for office. And this is not going anywhere because of what happened with the House. And that has Democrats terrified because they will not, cannot, should not run Joe Biden. And this story is not going away either. And I think it's why you see the Democrats fighting back so hard and throwing whatever kind of crap they can against the wall on Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump has now proven to be the dominant candidate and nobody's even going to come close to him. The only way you can keep Trump out is if he isn't breathing or if you tried to find some loophole to find him where he couldn't run for office, as the latest situation was trying to tie him to an uprising or insurrection, which would not allow him to run according to the 14th Amendment, which is an extremely far stretch to say the least.
It is a very far stretch. And as I was watching McCarthy right then, I have such mixed emotions about him, but that you can see he's really going to fight for the people. And I asked the people on the chat line, what do they think about him? Because I'm on the fence. I don't know what to think about him. I like what he's doing. I'm surprised he's working as hard as he is for the people. The best comment I thought was from Mary, that she said, at least it's better than Nancy Pelosi, for sure. For sure. And as we are going through all of this process that Kevin is talking about, it's so aggravating. It's so aggravating because it won't pass the Senate, and yet I think Kevin knows everything that's going on, but he can only say so much.
Well, they do. And it's about getting more information out and continuing to push forward. And then, of course, we talked about it. Hunter Biden's former best friend testifying in Congress tomorrow about what really happened. The big guy, all of the information, what he knew, the meetings going on. So that's going to be more information from somebody else who was on the inside of everything that's going on. And just because national news won't cover it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And anytime that you see any political party or member of a political party trying to cover it up and not wanting, everything should be transparent, right?
You would think so, but we know that's, I mean, everything stinks in DC right now.
And it's not transparent. And that's what gets people fired up when they have to deal with a situation like that. You also deal with a situation when it comes to Facebook, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg. That is another situation. For Thursday, Zuckerberg and Meta are refusing to hand over documents that they've been told that they have to hand over. And if they don't, he could be hit with a contempt charge. I find it very fascinating that the House Judiciary Committee is now actually weighing this because of what Zuckerberg is doing. So they're considering to vote to hold, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg in contempt this week. And of course, that's all getting back to the big feud that Congress has with big tech. Over its reluctance to work with lawmakers. And it's a lawsuit that started right in the Show Me State of Missouri with Eric Schmidt. It's something the Attorney General right now, Andrew Bailey, had followed up on. And Jim Jordan says they're not effing around. He said that they had already given Zuckerberg a July 31st deadline to produce internal company documents. But he's like, he has refused, and their patience has worn thin. So this is what's interesting because this is the quote on it. Facebook has critical information that it has not turned over to the committee regarding federal government efforts to censor speech online. That's what this is all about, and how they responded to those efforts. This is coming from Jim Jordan's spokesperson. He went on to say, it is imperative the committee get these materials, and we will take whatever actions necessary to facilitate that end. Time's running out for Congress to take action, by the way, ahead of its August hiatus. Congress is set to adjourn next week for its month-long recess. So they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Of course, Meta's going to decide what they want to do and push that envelope as far as they possibly can. What can happen if they hold them in contempt? Well, eventually they're going to get the papers that they need and the evidence to show. Once again, shouldn't companies want to be transparent?
You would
show
think
what
so.
You have. You as individuals know what's happened to you on your own accounts.
Absolutely.
You remember what was going on for a couple of years. Maybe some of you are dealing with some of those situations now. We're careful about how we talk about it.
Yes.
But it is one of those things. Jessica says, is it Conspiracy Theory Friday?
It feels like it, doesn't it? Jessica's right.
I have fleeting thoughts that the CIA implemented Facebook, then used Zuckerberg to claim he designed it.
Oh, man, that is a good conspiracy theory.
It really is.
That does seem like that. It absolutely seems like that. Because all of these things that we thought were concrete and true, who's to say Jessica's wrong about that? Yeah, it's a conspiracy, but who's to say that it's wrong? I kind of agree with her. I never even thought of that angle at all. But it shows you how we don't believe a word that is being said. Do you?
No, Troy says the swamp is still alive. It's difficult. I just find it, turn over the damn paperwork. Just be free, be American, and of course, be all about America. But we know we're not getting that.
But you know why?
Too easy.
Because he can't. He's guilty of that. He's guilty of suppressing information.
Or the company is.
He has
already said he suppressed certain things because he was told to.
Correct.
He has already come out and publicly said that. So you have to be careful and remember the scorecard
that is
of
true.
What he has already said. Congress remembers. Is it just a pony show? I mean, certainly people think that can happen as well. Is it a situation to just turn our attention on something else, especially after Hunter Biden's best friend is set to testify tomorrow?
Right.
To the House Judiciary Committee on all, and I mean all, of the inner dealings with how Joe Biden was associated with Hunter. And he is 100%. There's so much evidence that shows that he is and was, and it's all coming out now. Is it just because the House is now controlled by Republicans, or are those associated with Joe allowing it to come out in favor of everything going on now for a reason?
Both. I think it's both. I think because now the Republicans have the control. They don't want Joe. And something that we always forget, once something happened 2 or 3 years ago, people are not as heated and as hot about it. So when it comes out a couple years later, plus the Republicans are here fighting for us there, time goes on and people aren't as mad about it anymore. And so they don't care.
I know.
It's sad, but they don't care.
No, they don't. And that's why we bring up and we do this podcast and we try to get as much information out there as we possibly can, which is why we appreciate everybody jumping in and making the live portion of the podcast as good as it is. Angie says, everything happens for a reason, Vic. Yeah, I know. I get it. I do. I get it. I get it. I get it. And the longer I'm alive and the more that we cover stories and you get the full story, there's so much that just makes you go, my God, again? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Again?
With this administration, every day is Conspiracy Theory Friday.
It really is. That is a good point. It seems like it's always a conspiracy theory, but there's a truth in it all. There's a little point of truth, if not a whole lot of truth, because they're not, just to Vic's point, they're not transparent.
Well, in conspiracy is a very broad term at this point.
It is.
Yes, it is. It is, because it can be from UFOs to Joe Biden.
I mean, it's not so much a conspiracy when the stuff is proven.
Correct. Absolutely right. And each thing gets proven as it's going along, as we thought it was the whole time. But time has passed. So 2 or 3 years later, then we're not all fired up as much, or at least a lot of people aren't as fired up. So nothing gets done about it.
This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo from an engineering standpoint, running the boards. Before we show our partners, I also wanted to just let you know, I was asked why I didn't do this story on Friday, and I was like, I just want to see it because I guarantee Fox is going to take care of it. If you didn't know, like a lot of companies and companies I've worked for in the past, they have charitable matching situations with their organizations, their companies, whatever they have. Well, Fox News had a situation, and I don't know if it was ever used, where if you're an employee, if you donated to a satanic cult, or if you donated to any sort of a company that may not be along the lines of, what other people may think is good, they would match your donation. That became public at the end of last week. And I'm like, I saw it. And I was like, they're going to take care of that really fast because they're going to lose what audience they have left. Sure enough, Fox News stopped that practice. Just like that. Wanted to get that out there. So they halted any matching donations for those employees or people who were Fox employees. And once again, I don't know how often it was used, if they had any, but if you were a Fox News employee and you wanted to donate and get a matching contribution from the company, they have stopped that practice. So I know there's a couple of people that watch this podcast, that listen to this podcast, that brought it up with me last week. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that out there.
But you got that out. Yeah, that's interesting.
That Fox News did stop that practice. Thank you very much.
Good.
And even if they didn't want to, they had no choice in the matter.
Correct. They had zero choice.
They had to do that because they were going to get crushed. And I mean crushed from anything that could have possibly happened with that. Hey, before again we show our partners, we wanted to show you something else that we're happy about, proud, not in an arrogant or cocky way, but some numbers that we had coming in. And our numbers, what we've had, because we're the show that could. We continue to try. It's not easy. It's difficult. But as you see the shot there, we were trying to show everybody, those in the last 30 days, the important total is the bottom right total. It says total. That's an audience reach in the last 30 days of 502,000 people. And that's because of you guys. That includes this show. It includes all of our social media. What's not listed here too is Instagram, and Truth Social. So those are all of the reels that we put out, people that are seeing those, people that are liking those. And that's all because of what you guys are doing. So we are absolutely 100% grateful for those numbers. And if you could pop that back up again, Joe, and keep that up for a second, that's good. You can kind of see what happens, the people who listen through or see our information on podcast, YouTube, the website, the newsletter, Rumble, and CloutHub. CloutHub's another big site that people aren't familiar with, that a lot of people listen to.
Right. I wasn't before we started the show, but a lot of people listen to the show on CloutHub.
So we're grateful for that. And that hasn't been without a lot of, you can pay to get information out. You can pay to promote your stuff. And we just haven't had a lot of money to do that yet, which is why we're looking for partners. We continue to push the envelope forward, to continue to push forward. The numbers are really good this week. They were good last week. We're just grateful for everybody making this happen. And we just wanted to show you that, to show you what is happening, because we told you we try to be as transparent as we can. So if you know business partners and or people from a local standpoint in the St. Louis metro area or national, let us know so we can get in contact with them to continue to grow, to put those street teams together, to do the things that we want to do, because that's a really, really, really big, good number for us, that 502.8K in the bottom right corner. And we're continuing to push and do what we can to bring you the best guests that we can. We have Lori Johnson, another terrific guest, coming up in just a few minutes to talk about her schedule and the story that she had being shot by a BLM instigator, a few years back. And I mean, her recovery, which was incredible to hear too. We got a sponsor Wednesday tomorrow. We have another terrific guest Thursday, our free for all Fridays. We can find a spot for businesses. Just let us know. Canceltheshow.com. You can email us, Vic@canceltheshow.com. Are you at Lizzie?
I'm Lizzie at canceltheshow.com.
Lizzie at canceltheshow.com.
And that's with an IE, not a Y. I don't mind if you spell it that way, but if you're trying to get a hold of me, it has to be an IE.
And if you go to canceltheshow.com and click on our partners page, if you go right there, what you can see is, if you click on the spot there, you can see what our ad rates are right now. We put it out there for people to see. There it is. You go to our partners, you can click right on the blue tab, and then you can see what is happening when it comes to our situations with the ad rates. We can work. We can come up with anything that we need to. There's different packages that you can see what you can get and why it makes sense to jump in with a podcast like ours, as opposed to, the benefits as opposed to radio or television, and why it makes sense and why people are more passionate. We're showing people want to jump in with their podcast host, and it's worked out pretty well. So we appreciate that, and we'll continue to give you that information. So speaking of partners, we are so grateful to Complete Auto Body Repair. Were you there again yesterday, Lizzie?
I was there again yesterday. They have become my best friend. I get a phone call from my daughter, who was on her way down to Andrew Bailey's office in St. Louis, where she works, and her tire blew. And again, Complete was great. She just assumed she needed a tire, so she called a tow truck who put the spare on for her. Then I went and picked her up. We took her to Complete, and they were great. They had her in and out really fast. She didn't even need a new tire. They just repaired the tire, and they are so polite. They even will ask you want me to bring your things in, things out? And when they come in now, they recognize my husband and I, and they know that we're with Cancel This. And you guys, if you go in there, we go to the Cottleville location, but they're all great. And you mentioned Cancel This. The prices are second to none. I don't want to mention a competitor, but when my daughter went in with her car, she was given a quote by two other places about $2,400. This was another daughter, and it was half of that. So they are just fantastic. You're in and out and great. We're a big fan of Complete Auto Body and Repair, and it's a one-stop shop. They can fix your dent. They can also fix your tire. They can send you somewhere else if you're under warranty, and they can do all of it. They can even do a state inspection. So I'm a big fan, big fan. And I did not know them before I met Vic. Vic told me all about them. And so when I went there, I'm just pleased as punch, everybody.
Also, Vehicle Protection Group, a new advertiser who has jumped in. Once again, Vehicle Protection Group, they're looking for hires. They're looking to hire workers in regards to making some really good money. The top people answering inbound calls for Vehicle Protection Group. The easiest way to get in contact with them is you can let them know that you heard about it from canceltheshow.com to get more information on it. But it is pretty simple. All you have to do is email Todd at VPC Network. Todd at PCNetwork.com to get more information about that. We're also grateful for Dr. Mahesh Bagwe, one of the best orthopedic surgeons in the St. Louis metro area, board certified, trained at Washington University, taking care of 2 Faust kids already. I'm grateful for that. You're going to find he is second to none. He'll do everything he possibly can to make sure, whether you're 16 or 60, to make sure that everything is fine or older before you have to do anything when it comes to cutting on the body. We're grateful for that. Also, show sponsor Greenlight Dispensaries, the largest organization in the state when it comes to your cannabis goods. Once again, they have the largest selection, which also gives them the best price advantages. Greenlight Dispensary. We will have them on tomorrow at 9:30 for our Weed Wednesday segment. Grateful for what they do with our company. Of course, Kathy Helbig Strict, Steve Strict when it comes to Experience Real Estate Partners, New American Funding, and of course, New Age Health and Wellness. Those segments have become very popular. We continue to do that. And Rockwood Charcoal, our friend Jonathan Heslip, who has the best charcoal, and they are national. So if you're listening national, just go look for your Rockwood Charcoal to see anything you can do. And of course, where we broadcast live, Strategic Air Services, the best private flying you're going to find. They have been looking for a second shift operator as well. We continue to talk about them, Strategic Air Services, and what they can do for you there. So we're grateful that everybody continues to jump in. If you know of anybody else, please let your family, your friends know other businesses so we can continue to do what we do. And of course, get as big as we possibly can to bring you more information, because this whole situation doesn't just have to be a 2-hour show. It could be an all-day thing. You could have different programs. You can do all sorts of issues. We've got a lot of plans. It just takes the backing to do that, to bring the kind of information, the kind of network that we would love to bring. So once again, thank you for joining us for this Tuesday, July 25th podcast. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. If you guys have any story ideas, you jump in, you let us know from that standpoint as well. I did want to get to this before we get to our guests, because our guests will be coming in. Well, you know what? Can we get to our guests now?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'd love to get Lori all set up. I'd like to get Lori and we'll get her set up. And as we do that, we also want to remind everybody that we're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our website at cancelthisshow.com. Once again, cancelthisshow.com. You can click on previous episodes, like, subscribe, share the show. You can send us stars. That helps us as well. We're grateful for that. When you do that, that helps us. And when you go to the different platforms we're on, and we have talked about that as well, what you can do is just, give it a little thumbs up. Say hi, say thank you. It helps with the whole situation of how things are done when it comes to us getting to as many people as we possibly can. So with that, as I set this up, we're going to welcome in Lori Johnson. Lori lives in the St. Louis area. And the best way to set her shot up and to set her up when she comes in is to let you know that she was shot by a BLM instigator a few years ago as part of a mass shooting. We'll leave it there, and then we're going to let Lori talk about everything that she has with our situation that's coming up. Projo, you let me know when we can bring Lori up, and then of course we'll go from there. So
she's ready.
We've got Lori. Lori, hey. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in to canceltheshow.com. And of course, I know you walked in, Lizzie's like, oh my God, look at the USA gear.
Oh, and yeah, because she knows I was geeking out about it. I love Lori so much. And just before she gets started, in all transparency, I know Lori, and how I met her is through one of our previous guests, actually a continual guest, is Chanel Rion. Lori knew her before I ever knew her. She was actually Chanel's husband's, I would say, area campaign coordinator. You might have had a different title than that, but that's how I saw you.
Social media person, if you will. I took over his Twitter because it wasn't doing very well.
Right, yes. And she's very, very good at that. She showed me how to do all this, to be honest. And so we became very fast friends. And so you can see by what she's wearing why she and I get along so well. But why I wanted her on here is not just because she's my Thelma and I'm her Louise. Mm-hmm. It's because she is a huge freedom fighter. And the irony is not lost on me and will not be lost on you guys What happened to her? So Lori, start telling us about what you were doing that day, minding your own business with your mom in the car. But if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before you get to that, feel free.
Well, I live in Orchard, basically the Orchard Farm area. In
the St. Louis area, St. Charles County.
Yes. And I was in business with my husband. I no longer am doing that because of this, with my hand, I typed forever in a day, and it got to where I just couldn't do it anymore. So I finally retired. Woohoo me, 54.
Woohoo! You're a young retiree lady.
Me and my husband, we have 6 children together. We have 10 grandkids and 2 great grandbabies and one that's going to be due in September.
Exciting. So exciting.
Yeah. So getting back to what happened to me, 2020, I will just say, was literally the year from hell for me. I had my daughter, who lives in Atlanta, went down there in April. One thing led to another. She was gone to church. And the first trauma incident I had was I had to fight off a pit bull, believe it or not, that tried to kill both of her dogs. And I had been previously diagnosed with fibromyalgia in like 2017. So that traumatic incident just really started the whole, out of control spin for me. And I was told we have to say cupcake or something for the big C. I
Correct.
had that in August, which was really bad. That was just another layer. And then comes what happened to me September 13th, 2020, which I, of course, will never forget. But I was down in Atlanta. We were preparing, me and my mother were down there, and we were doing like last minute wedding stuff. My daughter was getting married in October. And that Sunday morning, we actually had her church's praise and worship on the radio. We left early, and my mom started out driving. I'm kind of glad she decided, hey, would you like to take over? Because if not, it would have been my mom, not me. So we switched off driving in Chattanooga, and about 10 minutes south of Murfreesboro, I think is kind of where it was. I came upon what appeared to be either an accident or road construction. Well, it ended up being the start to an absolute hell.
Nightmare you've been living ever since.
Yeah, I have. And so what I visually saw was I saw a black car in the median. I had no idea that it belonged to the 3 thugs. I guess I'm allowed to say thugs.
You can say thugs.
That's pretty much
because that's what they were.
I described these guys. But he shot both of the guys that was in the car with him. His name was D'Angelo Dorsey. He's no longer with us. But anyway, he shot both, killing one, threw that one on the side of the highway. So I see people on the left side of the highway. I'm not sure why. And then I see people over here, what looks like they're tending to someone, not sure, but that happened to end up being the guy he threw out on the highway, got ran over, he died. Well, I see 2 tractor trailers that are stopped on the left side of the road, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm looking at my mom going, oh my gosh, what is going on? And lo and behold, D'Angelo had shot the truck driver in the face, and he had to be airlifted to the whatever that critical care unit is in Nashville. He came around the truck, the semi truck, and just as he was coming around, I was passing. We were only going about maybe, 35 miles an hour. We were slowed down. And before I could even react, he pulls up his gun and he shoots it at me. Now, granted, I'm within probably from here to you,
which is about 10 feet.
And I was able to give the police a description of this guy all the way down to his gold grill. And so he shot me in my hand. And at the time, I didn't know if I was shot anywhere else. My mind actually didn't even compute that I had been shot until I raised my hand up. My fingers are barely hanging on. And I'm just bleeding profusely. Awful. And my mom, I remember saying, oh my God, Mom, I've been shot. And at that point, I had already gunned my car, and we had pulled off on one of the medians. And
Smart thinking. You did
God
that.
love my mother. She had it together long enough to put a tourniquet on my arm, or I could have easily bled out because it was bleeding that bad. But, you know, she called 911. And as we are on the median.
Did you come to a stop?
Well,
because how fast were you driving by when
we were going normal speed until the traffic started slowing down, and then it slowed us all down to like anywhere from 30 to 35 miles.
So you're going through about 30, 35, and then this guy just comes up to the car and shoots.
Well, he was like in between. I'm on the right side, the tractor trailers are on the left side, and he just turns around and boom. I mean, I had a loaded 9mm underneath my seat. I had no time to react other than they say you fight or you flight. Well, I chose to flight.
And he was on foot, correct?
He was on foot. He was looking for a vehicle to take is basically what he was doing. And I was like, no, you're not taking mine with my mom. No. So I just gunned it. I went down. And as we're on the side, my mother is screaming for the people that we now know was tending to the dead guy that was in the car with him. This guy, he was a volunteer EMT. He comes over, he sees what's going on. And about that time, D'Angelo was able to take a Spanish man. His name, I want to say is Luis, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. My mom was telling me. He took his car, and he didn't have any more bullets. I took the last one. But, of course, Luis didn't know this, so he gave his car up, you know. And luckily, I was the one that took the last bullet. And I say that because he could have easily shot Luis because he put the gun to his back and pulled the trigger. But, of course, nothing happened. So as he gets in that car, we see this car at a high speed of rate coming off the highway and coming down on the median, and he almost hit us. Same darn guy. And I'm going,
unbelievable.
You've got to be kidding me. I mean, but anyway, they took me by ambulance to the hospital there in Murfreesboro. But after that happened to me, he bumped into a couple, Eileen and Jordan Stevens. Now, granted, Eileen was on Dr. Phil's show. This was, I want to say, a year and a half after it happened. She was pregnant, and they were on their way to church. And so he just bumped into them. Of course, they're thinking it was just an accident.
Mm-hmm.
He gets out, Jordan gets out, and he takes them hostage. He gets in their vehicle, and they go back to her house. And the only reason I know all of this is because of watching her interview and actually talking to Eileen myself. They go back. He's wanting some food. She said he's popping pills right and left. So I knew then he was really erratic and high on whatever he was on. So he takes them. He gets food. They actually had some guns there. He takes whatever guns and ammo, and he's planning on. He told her, I want to go to ATM. I want to get money. I'm going to go to Mexico because he knew he was. And before I go any further, I meant to say this in the beginning. He's a 2-time felon. Both. One was first criminal armed action, first robbery, or however you say that. In 2011, spent a year in prison, got 9 years of probation. And then in 2013, does it again and only gets probation. So you can
unreal. That's
thank
unbelievable.
St. Louis City and St. Louis County for that one.
Time out. Wait a minute. So he was a resident of St. Louis City.
He was a resident.
But this occurred in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're both in Georgia. Was he in Georgia as well?
Yeah.
Wow. But you're both from the St. Louis area, and you both end up at the same place where you got shot. What are the odds of that? I would love to know what the odds are. That is just craziness.
I was really shocked when I found out he was from Missouri.
Yes, I remember hearing that.
He lived, I believe his last known address was Berkeley.
We're talking with Lori Johnson. She's describing when she was shot by a BLM instigator. I mean, you can say it was a mass shooting too. But you just hit me so hard with that, Lori, when you told me about him being a Missouri resident, a St. Louis City resident. And in that time of 2020 and before, where he wasn't prosecuted to even a close percentage of what the law should have been.
Right.
He should have been in prison.
Oh, exactly. And I tell everyone, if he had been in prison and stayed in prison the whole time, it would not have happened. It just would not.
And how many lives were taken? Like, how many died?
Well, 2 people, and then he shot himself. He shot 6 of us total. But after But here's the part that will really kind of shake you to your core. After he does whatever he's doing at Eileen and Jordan Stevens' house, he makes them take off in a RAV4. As he goes down the road a while, he tells them to pull off. He ends up making Jordan get out, and he executes Jordan right in front of his wife.
His pregnant wife.
She's 4 months pregnant. So he just drops him off on the side of the road, gets in with Eileen, and they take off, supposedly going to go to an ATM, I guess is what my understanding. But he loses control because he's driving.
Mm-hmm.
And he loses control and he ends up rolling it. And he knew he was going to go to prison and probably never see the light of day again.
Right.
So he shot and killed himself in front of her. But luckily, she survived. Her baby is fine. She had a beautiful little girl. And I think they relocated to Florida. She had family down there. But it's been a long road. And my voice now, I mean, I went through some serious depression and PTSD.
I'm sure you did.
Still have chronic pain because it just threw me in a tailspin.
Chronic pain in the hand or
just all over because of the fibro. Anytime you have trauma, it really
exasperates that.
It does. Now, as far as my hand goes, my hand, I don't know if you can see it or if I'm showing it correctly.
Right in front of the little camera right there. And you can put it up to that.
Yeah. I had a big hole basically right here. These fingers were hanging off and this one was broke. This one was fractured. They were able to put those two fingers back on with pins and my bones had a fuse. So I can't bend them.
Can you hold that back up again and show people what that was like and show where your hole was again in the hand?
The hole was like this big. And it's hard to see, but I had just all kinds, I'd have to show you pictures, but yeah, they had to stitch all that up. They had to when I went to, and I will say this, when I went to the hospital there in Murfreesboro, all they did was they stripped me down, make sure I wasn't shot anywhere else. And they bandaged me up because I needed to get home so I could have a surgeon
correct.
Emergency surgery they did on me 2 days later and they removed all the debris and come to find out the bullet was still stuck in.
Oh my God.
Still stuck in this finger. Yeah. And so,
what kind of a bullet is it? Because you have to live with this. And that's why I ask, I'm just curious what kind
I can tell all the politicians that might be listening, it wasn't an AR-15. It was a 9mm.
Okay.
And he created that much mass destruction
with just a 9mm.
With a 9mm. And so my voice now, I basically want to see the gun laws that are on the books. I want to see those enforced. People like D'Angelo Dorsey should have never been out on the street.
Correct.
He didn't even have an ankle bracelet as far as I know. And I know for a fact he did not have special permission to leave the state. Granted, at the time, I mean, I had Channel 4, KMOX. They all interviewed me at the time. I think it hit Fox News and stuff. But the thing is, I mean, he just should have never been out of Missouri.
Correct.
But yet, when you're a thug, when you're a criminal and you're wanting to break the law, you're going to do whatever you want.
You are.
That's what these politicians, they don't want to address that. Okay. They don't. And these activists, these gun control activists, okay, like Moms on Demand, that Shannon Watts or whatever. Matter of fact, I tweeted out to her the other day and she blocked me, and for good reason, because I basically called her on the carpet when she,
good for you. Good for you.
Well, when she's wanting to shut down a darn song. And she basically is claiming that she's the reason why he got it pulled from CMT. I said, you know what? I said, I would love to sit down and debate with you on this because I guarantee you I will win.
Well, she's also the reason why he became the most downloaded iTunes then. And she's also the reason why he's number 2 on Billboard.
I was just going to say that. I saw that coming in. He's number 2 on Billboard. So she actually did him a favor.
She did.
So congrats to Moms on Demand or whatever it is.
Whatever their name is.
You just helped.
Good job.
You just put a lot more money in Jason Aldean and his band members' pocket.
Absolutely. And Lori, when you were down there, I remember finding out after the fact, I think from your daughter-in-law, that he was down there for nefarious reasons, is why I call him a BLM instigator. What was he doing there, and why was he coming back when he was coming back? Do you remember?
He was running drugs.
Yep, he was running drugs, and he was in all the BLM riots, and he was with the people with him.
Of all that. Now, granted, his Facebook is still up, but they have stripped a lot of the stuff that's on his Facebook.
Got it.
And that's one of the reasons. I personally have asked for his Facebook to be shut down multiple times, but I don't get any answer, or I'm denied or whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, he shot himself. He took his own life after taking at least 2 people's lives and trying to take Lori's life, as she explains to us today, some of those situations that are going on. What's scary, first of all, it's so good for you to be in studio and to share your story. And we love you, and you do a great job of explaining it. We don't know what it's like to go through something, and we can say we can imagine what it's like to go through that and then the trauma after the fact. But we're just grateful that you can explain it, come in and try to give people an idea, and also try to do something about it, because it's one thing when something happens to you and you're a victim, but to not sit back and continue to be a victim when it comes to getting the messaging out, when it comes to gun laws and it comes to the prosecution of what we have, because we have plenty of gun laws. It's prosecuting them, taking care of the situations, prosecutors actually following a manual. It's very simple on what you're supposed to do.
The laws are on the books. It's these, prosecutors, they have got to start enforcing these laws. And not only that, but I personally would like to see it to go one step further. And when you have a violent perpetrator like D'Angelo that chooses to have a gun and cause God knows what kind of chaos or whatever, when it comes time to prosecute, I don't want to see any plea bargains. I mean, that right went out the window the minute you put that gun in your hand, you decide to kill somebody or shoot somebody. That's the way I feel. You should not even be allowed to have a plea bargain. End of story.
Correct.
And if And nobody will change my mind when I say this, because I feel like if they would just start doing that, I think you might start seeing the crime go down a lot, because you would start getting these thugs off the streets.
Correct.
Well,
yeah. I mean, there's none, and it's just the irony isn't lost on any one of us. I'm sure that Andrew Bailey had to come and get rid of this chick, and the chick, what I'm meaning, I'm being disrespectful here, but Kim Gardner, if she had done her job,
well, actually,
it was before her.
It was before her, and it was McConnell.
Oh, that's right.
Whatever.
That's right. You're right.
Well, he's not even better.
Right.
Well, no, but he was St. Louis County though.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy
Correct.
must have been a St. Louis County resident or done something in the county.
Kim Gardner wasn't even a thought. I mean,
but Kim Gardner has problems when it comes to Daniel Riley, who took the leg of Janae Edmondson when she was here for the volleyball tournament. And of course, you want to talk about ankle bracelets and not showing up for court, and letting them out. It makes me think how many more of these Rileys and of these people are there out there right now running the streets and doing what they're doing on a daily and weekend basis. That's for sure, throughout the state of Missouri.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, when I saw that she was going to sue the city of St. Louis, I literally wanted to jump up and just cheer, because I reached out to, I know more than on one hand, different attorneys, different offices. I wanted to sue the prosecuting attorney's office in St. Louis County. I wanted to sue and hold the judge that allowed him out on probation. I wanted to hold her accountable. Granted, she's retired now, but in my opinion, all of those people that died that day or were shot like myself, they're the ones that have blood on their hands, not anyone else but them, because they allowed this creep to be out on the streets like he was.
Did anything were you able to get help with anything when it comes to support for the injury, support for all of the PTSD that you've had to come after since you weren't able to go after or sue anybody?
Well, I've done it privately. I've went and had counseling privately, but
this has all been out of pocket for the experience that you've had.
Oh yeah.
Well, and Lori, what is interesting to me is people can see from you talking, you're a badass and you're a fighter and you're a patriot. But what broke my heart is part of you changed in an enormous way. What people don't see is once you're shot by a thug, you go through such a cycle that you had to go through of depression and PTSD, and then your body didn't work the way it was, and all of that. And if you weren't who you were, the type of person you were, you'd still be on your couch, because so many, quote, normal people, they fold. And so there is no fight. I always knew, and my prayer is exactly what you're doing, is you're still there. You have the wounds now and the scars. but you're still the freedom fighter that you were before. And now you're coming out swinging just like you did before.
Oh, yeah.
Because for a while you weren't coming out swinging. We were very worried about you because you weren't you. He changed who you were. But one thing I'm going to bring up that she didn't bring up is she is a Christian and God restored you. And you can talk a little bit about that.
Basically,
yes,
because I could have easily, I mean, I always say if I hadn't have been going the speed I was going, if I had gone a little bit slower, he would have shot my mother, because where the bullet went in is the little fog window, you know, that you have on your SUVs. It came in there and hit my hands that were on the steering wheel. He could have easily hit my mom, and in the direction of that bullet, it would have went right into her chest. Yes. And I could easily not have a mother to this day, but I thank God that didn't happen. I mean, it was horrible, and I wouldn't wish what I went through on anyone, even my worst enemy. And I don't really have many, but it was bad. I've just now, Elizabeth can attest to this, I'm just now at the stage where I can talk to you guys or talk to anyone without breaking down crying.
Well, this happened again September 13th of 2020. Lori Johnson went through that. We had some people asking again that were coming in maybe a little bit after you were talking about that from that situation. When you see what's happening, are there things that, what I mean when you see what's happening, when you see crimes occurring, when you see that the city that you live closest to, major city, St. Louis, is year in, year out considered to be one of the deadliest. How does that make you feel when you see certain things that are happening? Because you see the reports that are happening and the shootings that happen on a weekly basis.
Well, one thing we need is justice reform. We don't need gun control. We have enough laws on the books.
I think over 40,000 gun laws.
Yeah. And they're still wanting to push more. No, that's not the answer. The answer is you have got to be really strict and go by the books. Throw this plea bargain crap out the window. That's why people like D'Angelo Dorsey, that's why that kid that hit
Daniel Riley.
That's why they're out on the street, because of the failure of our justice system and the failure of prosecutors not doing their job.
Well, now we're dealing with no cash bail situations in a couple parts of the country, Los Angeles and Chicago. We brought that up a little bit yesterday. Yeah, no cash bail. That's all right. We'll take you in. You can go right back out. Everything. We'll catch back up with you later. It is sad. And nobody even understands or can begin to understand a story like Lori's unless, God forbid, it happens to you or one of your loved ones. That's for sure. Lori, we thank you for coming in today. Thank you for sharing it. We'll have to have you back in. We love your story. We love your passion. Your
She's
fight.
The best. She's a badass. She's the best.
She is. She keeps saying that because have you seen what I put on my Jeep?
Yeah, I saw that. Of course you did.
It's called Badass Edition.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what her name is.
You be you, Lori. We appreciate it.
You.
Thanks so much for coming in today. And hopefully this helps in some form or way to talk about it publicly, to not only help others, but to help you. As you said, you haven't been able to talk publicly about it in this kind of a forum, dealing with everything you've dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And keep Lizzie in check as well then.
That's a tough job. That's probably her biggest job, is to keep me to behave.
She's fine. That's why we call that. I forget. I don't know if it was us that came up with the Thelma and Louise thing, or maybe it was Cortland. I don't know.
I think Cortland called us that we were the Thelma and Louise, and she's Thelma and I'm Louise, because we were just enough trouble to get things done, but not quite incarcerated.
Do you talk? Do you talk politics publicly?
Sometimes I do.
Do you talk about who you're rooting for in 2024 for the presidential election?
I have not made up my mind, to be quite honest, because it's just like, I don't know. It's just, there's just so much stuff going on. There's so many distractions going on. It's like every single day I was listening to you guys coming in to the studio, and I'm hearing these chefs that are dying. It's not because they made bad food. It's because they're getting on boats without life jackets. And I thought to myself, my sister-in-law she can't swim to save her life. Okay. And I think you've met Pia, right?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
She's from the Philippines, and she wouldn't even get on our houseboat without a life jacket. I mean, so it's like, come on, that whole thing stinks.
It does stink, doesn't it?
No, it does. 100%.
Absolutely.
Lord, well, thanks again for joining us today. We wish you the very best. Please keep in touch with us, okay?
I will.
All right. And just kind of how it is, whenever you want to, you can just put your headset down and you can walk away.
All righty. Okay, I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Exactly. We didn't give you an
right.
update.
Thanks,
it's all
guys.
pretty relaxed. This is cancelthisshow.com. That was Lori Johnson. As you can see, it's good to see her smiling right now, almost just under 3 years after being shot by a crazed man who was dealing with some BLM activity, an instigator. Fortunately, she survived, but still dealing with all kinds of stuff with her poor hand, as she showed us, with a bullet that's still
it's unreal. When I got that
hand
phone call
finger.
from her daughter-in-law, I could not believe it. I was like, of all people, the biggest freedom fighter in the world. And what rolled through my head for just a second, and I'm sure Lori wouldn't appreciate that, was if it happened to anyone, and it happened to her for a reason, because she will come out of this and come out punching and fighting. Most people wouldn't, I don't think, but she is, and she will.
Yeah, and look at all the frivolous lawsuits that are out there where people try to go after you to destroy your name, destroy your image, just take your money.
Correct.
And then you have a situation where she has a legitimate case and she can't get anything.
Right. She can't get anything.
I mean, a legitimate case where she's walking around with a constant memory of what happened to her in her hand every single day. Jessica says, by the way, Antifa, 100 times more dangerous than BLM, as what we have seen happen.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm sure
Jessica,
that's true.
We have certainly seen that. The reason I asked her about politics when it comes to because she's so out there, American flag, everything, talks about being a freedom fighter, a conservative, was because if she said Ron DeSantis, I was going to be like, oh, I love you and I'm sorry, because basically yesterday, Ron DeSantis' campaign manager did this.
I know.
He waved the white flag.
Yes.
This was the DeSantis campaign yesterday, and I'm sorry. If Donald Trump got out of the election, I'm still not sure Ron DeSantis would have the most momentum going right now.
I used to think he would have, but the people that he has surrounded with him have made some really bad decisions, and it's hurting him, because I kind of like him and I like what he's done down there. But, you just find out more and more about him. And it's not just that he is a traitor to Donald Trump, as many people think. You're right. That whole surrender thing yesterday was unreal. And you're right. If Donald Trump isn't the forerunner, I don't think it'll be him anymore. He screwed the pooch big time.
Well, here's what's going on now. They're sputtering, and the DeSantis campaign manager legitimately came out and said, we've had an ineffective campaign.
Yeah, can you believe that? Why? I mean, you'd want to slap him if you were working with him. Why would he do that?
I don't. Well, he has to approve it. DeSantis had to approve him saying that. They're talking about sputtering. They've had missteps. They've spent way too much money in the wrong areas. They're looking for answers. Part of me goes, hey, I respect the fact that they're just being honest. When you mess up and screw up, just admit it and move on.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot
and
of
then
truth
part
to
of
that.
me goes, oh my God, because I know a lot of politicians, and it's hard to publicly. One of the worst things you can do on the other side is go, yeah, we're ineffective.
Yeah, we messed up.
It's like we're arts admitting we're not good.
You know what I would love he would do? I wish he would get on the phone and call Donald Trump and say the same thing. Hey, I made a mistake. I should have waited till 2028, because I think he would have gotten elected in 2028.
I'm going to back you.
I am backing you now. Hey, may even make me the VP. You know what would happen? They would be unstoppable.
Well, I'm not sure he can do that in Florida, both living there.
Yeah, but
I don't think
Donald Trump has a lot of properties. He could say he went back and lived in New York.
So DeSantis campaign, ineffective campaign, admitting it.
Yeah.
And this after he came in third place in South Carolina.
Yeah, third.
And barely, third place.
Yeah.
So we all know, as we've talked about, it's not even a race anymore.
No.
We know what's happening. We see everything that's going on. And of course, the left continues to try to throw what they're throwing at Donald Trump. I just find it fascinating that the DeSantis campaign manager actually came out and admitted how bad that they have been when it comes to going after votes, when it comes after trying to get people to jump onto their campaign. Now, what does that mean for his campaign? They're not giving up. They say that they're not. They're just saying that they're trying to reset right now and think about how they can get back in to the race somehow, some way. They just can't gain traction nationally. Is it because Donald is so popular Or is it more towards Ron not being effective?
Both. I think both. I think he was not effective. But there's so many people that were on the Trump train before. There's only one little glitch that they don't like him. And it was the whole C issue where they thought he should have been stronger. But that being said, people think he learned his lesson.
Who, Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I thought he was wrong there. I mean, I didn't like how he handled that at all. But at the end of the day, I loved his policies. I don't care if he tweets. I don't care. But a lot of people do. And so maybe he should tone that down. I don't know. But if the two of them could team up, I know I keep saying that. And I know that, that ship has sailed. But I think that Ron wouldn't be done if he would just back off.
Well, another thing that they did, this was very, very bad. They tried to go after Donald Trump for being, quote, kind to or friendly to the LGBTQ community.
But he is friendly to the LGBT community.
And one of Donald Trump's best friends is a gay man.
Yes.
That helped him.
He always has been.
With this campaign, his first campaign, to a guy that's behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And Donald Trump has always been that way, whether you like it or not. But the thing is that DeSantis tried to use it as a bad thing. As a bad thing.
Right.
And it blew up in his face.
Correct.
And now I think Republicans all across the board denounced it.
Right.
And it could have been another reason why DeSantis, who everybody loves so much, and I still love the guy.
Yeah.
But it's
what
not
he did to Florida was great. I wish that was happened in Missouri.
It's so easy to forget what people do and forget those scorecards, as I've always talked about.
Ron has made Florida great again, for sure. No doubt about it.
So it's almost like we're in July of 2023 going into August.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
I mean,
it was over
pretty
before
much
it started.
I mean, it appears that it's dormant. I don't know. They say they, quote, are going to reorient his campaign. I don't know, because there's no clear message. With Donald Trump, you can't take it from. It's make America great again. It's all about America, America policy. And DeSantis, I think, feels the same way, but he's not going to take that messaging from Donald Trump. Trump owns it. That's his marketing campaign.
Yes.
That's his situation. They're coming after you. I'm standing in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm protecting you from them. They don't care about me. They care about you. I'm taking the bullets for you. And Trump doesn't have to run another commercial or any promotion ads, because the left does it for him.
And I don't think he should. Some people disagree with me. I don't think that he should do any more commercials. I do not think he should debate.
Are you, Trump?
Yeah, I don't think Trump should even debate.
I'd love to see him debate. I think he'd do great.
I love it. It is so fun. I would love to see him debate any Democrat any day. Or even, I loved when he was up against the 17 in the 2016 election. But you know what? The media is just going to eat him alive, no matter what he does. It's not going to help him whether he does it or he doesn't. For entertainment value, I hope he does it.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, that's pure entertainment. I mean, I sit in my room and hoot and holler the whole time he's on a rally. So there you go.
I mean, think about this. It wasn't that long ago, maybe, let's just say 5 months ago. Damn, DeSantis, 6 months, DeSantis could take Trump down.
Yeah, I thought he probably could.
And now they're waving the white flag. We can't do it. Right. We're not good. We don't know what our messaging is. We're trying to, rejuvenate ourselves. We're trying to renew ourselves. We're trying to come up with a different campaign mid-race.
People like loyalty. They just do. And Ron was doing, kind of junior high shit, like talking about him and getting on media and talking behind their back.
This is when these campaign managers, you have to do something. You have to try to move the needle, which is why most people felt it wasn't his time.
Correct. I didn't think it was his time. And yet I like it.
Especially when Trump is the guy who resurrected his career in Florida. And Trump did win the governorship for him. He did.
That's disloyal what he's doing.
He was dead in the water
before he ever started.
And Trump came by and helped him take care of that. So we'll continue to follow that race. That is not a race. And it is interesting for some of these things that continue to come down this week, as we were talking about earlier, just from a recap of situations that are going on. If you're just joining us now late and jumping in, when it came to the Obama chef, I know we have people that come in and out of the 2 hours that were there. Thoughts and prayers to the family, the wife and two twin sons left behind after the death of Tafari Campbell, tragic accident. Lots of questions. We have no idea why he was allegedly on a paddleboard without a life vest after saying that he didn't really know how to swim.
Correct.
Yet there's video out there of him swimming. Quite eloquently, quite strong, being allegedly going underwater and never coming back up, and a paddleboarder seeing him go under. Yet they can't find him for over 12 hours. When they do, he's in 8 feet of water, just 100 feet off the shoreline where the Obama's property is. And of course, he was the chef for the Obamas. A lot of questions there for those people. Just recapping, and we'll see where all this goes. If we get some sort of medical examiner response in the days ahead. And then, of course, that gets attached to the 2015 tragic incident of Walter Scheib, who happened to be the Clintons' chef at the time, when he all of a sudden went on a hiking trip by himself in a remote area of the mountains and somehow slipped and fell into a water collection or water reservoir at the bottom, a drainage area, and was found underwater. And he was the chef for the Clintons at the time, the Bushes previously before that. 2 chefs drowning 8 years apart. Walter Scheib was 61 when he died by himself. And then allegedly now 45-year-old Tafari Campbell by himself as the sun was setting or down at about 8 o'clock on Sunday night.
For sure.
So, yeah, we covered that. That's a big story. We'll have to wait and see. Once again, tomorrow, Hunter Biden's best friend is testifying about the Biden crime syndicate, as we refer to it. And then Thursday, possibly Mark Zuckerberg being in contempt of Congress because of what's happening there. And of course, the Kevin McCarthy sound is the one thing that really gets, the Senate would never approve it, but they are going hard after Biden. The information is not stopping. And it is also interesting that Hunter Biden's longtime business partner and best friend is going to testify tomorrow that Joe Biden, AKA the big man, frequently sat in on business calls with Hunter. So the whole narrative that Biden has always said publicly that I have never had anything to do with my son's business is crumbling. It's crumbling fast. And I don't care if people think elections are controlled. I don't, as I've said, I don't see how the Bidens come out of this unscathed. I don't see, as long as the House Republicans continue to put the pressure on and continue to get the information out, because there's only so many cover-ups the Democratic Party or those who support Biden can do. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've got to get rid of him. I mean, he's just such a buffoon. He's embarrassing everywhere he goes. He can't walk. He stumbles. He mumbles. He's got to go. He's got to go. And he's embarrassing the Democrats. He is.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
But Democrats will tell you, and I'm sorry, and it's not being disrespectful to Democrats, but most Democrats will tell you, we don't care.
They don't care. They really don't care.
What, Hunter? Okay, whatever. Where's that Trump guy? That's what we got to go after. We got to go after that Trump guy.
He just tweets too much. Shut him up.
Angie reminds everybody to keep your head on a swivel, guys. I agree.
Angie is right. And she's from the UK.
Because you just never know what's going to happen, why certain things are happening, to take your attention here, to put your attention there, just to make sure you understand
for sure what
is happening. As Robert reminds us, it all depends on the media spin and what will the media do.
100%. Yes.
And we know that. And media is not just the world news. It can be newspapers. It can be your cable news. It can be radio, all of those sorts of things, which is why we try to give the full story and at least talk about the issues that you might be wondering about, like, wait a second, why is that happening? What's happening here?
Correct.
That doesn't make sense.
You have to look at the whole picture because there's spins everywhere you go. And there's some people that are just, quote, far right wing that they won't even look at the whole picture. And they're just, and I was kind of like that for a while and just shaded all of my opinions. Now I'm no longer that way. You have to look at the whole picture.
And in the midst of everything that's happening with Joe Biden right now, you also have RFK calling. I mean, this is RFK calling for an investigation of the Biden corruption. So you have a Democrat, a longtime Democrat, even though Democrats don't want to acknowledge him because they're worried that he's going to destroy any sort of support that Biden has, even though statistically speaking, he's the second lowest rated president in the history of our country, only to another Democrat, Jimmy Carter. But I would argue that Biden is even worse because I don't trust a lot of the polling that's going on right now, even as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad to say that I think Jimmy Carter probably accomplished more than Joe Biden.
Yes. Worst
Despite
president
that
ever till
inflation.
Joe. Jimmy and Joe.
But you've got RFK calling for an investigation of the Biden corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing it publicly.
I love it.
Against the same people who won't debate him, who won't give him the time of day, because he absolutely destroys a lot of the Democratic narrative over the last 3 years. They're afraid of him. They don't want to see him.
They should be.
And they're trying to muzzle and cancel him. Despite him being a Democratic candidate, he continues to go after the Biden, quote, corruption information. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where it goes this week. I'm trying to look around. Jerry says, thank goodness I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Being an independent constitutionalist fits me well. Mm-hmm. We try to promote that. I mean, it's one of those things where we try to bring all the information to light and then you guys decide where you want to be. But Kathy says, yes, they're trying to smear RFK.
Sure
I agree.
Mary, one of our listeners, brought him up from the beginning that when he started being popular, so to speak, again. And she's like, he's a great candidate. But as we all know, they will never, ever let him be the candidate. It won't happen.
I've always said I could see Michelle / Michael Obama being in some sort of office.
Me too.
Jessica says, I still think Michelle Obama and Newsom will be the front runners for the DNC.
I can totally see that.
And it's all,
I agree.
And
I agree with that.
We've talked about that on this show because you bring them out at the last moment, the last second. You can't do a lot of deep dive. It's just a wave of energy at the last second. Anything but Trump, that sort of situation for those people to generate interest, media attention. I see them with their hands already clasped in the air, we're California.
Yes.
Yeah, beware. It could happen. Anyway.
What about a Michelle and Hillary run?
Never.
Oh my gosh,
Never.
They would kill each other.
She has zero popularity.
There'd be somebody in the lake there too, for sure. There would somebody kill somebody in there, somebody push somebody in the lake.
But we appreciate you guys jumping in with cancelthisshow.com. We're grateful for all the support that we have. Once again, if you check out our partners page at cancelthisshow.com partners, if you click on the blue light, you can look at our media ad rate packages. Please send it out. Let people know, your friends, your family, businesses. Give us a try. The people that we have do like it. They're doing really good things with us. People are checking them out. It's one of the advantages of podcast. We're grateful for that. We also showed you our numbers, and that's because of you guys throughout all of our information with our reels, our social media, this show. Last 30 days was over 500,000 audience reach, and that's because of you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We want to continue to do this. So anything else we want to leave anybody with?
That was a mouthful. You just had a whole mouthful there. Good job, Vic. Yeah. Nobody ever tells you good job because Vic is like the stud and the star and everybody. And Vic, you're always telling all of us we do a good job. Good job, Vic.
Maybe I'm going to act like you're
good job.
Keep telling me that.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job.
Say that again.
Good job, Vic. I mean that. I'm not brown nosing you because I give you a lot of shit all the time. But nobody ever says anything good about you, Vic, because you're the boss.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Lizzie. We appreciate the listeners. I appreciate you and Joe Pro, Lizzie. Thanks again for Lori Johnson coming in and sharing her heartfelt and important message and all the work she's trying to do to keep people on the straight and narrow.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
And I'm Vic Faust. Have an awesome day. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you tomorrow for our Weed Wednesday segment. Plus, we've got Steve Strict and Kathy Helbig Strict in the studio as well. Have an awesome day, guys. Thanks so much.